This past weekend, I took my Honda S600 to Auto Club Speedway in Fontana for an autocross. I've never taken this car to an autocross before, which is a little weird because it's perfectly suited for autocross. It is not perfectly suited for a car trailer, however, since its track width is narrower than most car trailers, so I had to use a utility trailer. Is this a violation of U-Haul's terms of service? I don't know. I didn't read them. This car is fun to drive, but not so much for an hour on the highway, so I trailered it out to Fontana. The track has a 2-mile super speedway oval. I did not drive that. It also has an infield road course that has several different configurations. I also did not drive that. Today was an autocross, which is when they set up a bunch of cones in a parking lot. It's a much more laid-back approach to racing. You're not going to wreck, you're probably not going to do any serious damage to your powertrain. It's a nice, leisurely Sunday drive. As I said, this car is perfect for this kind of racing. It is excellent between about 20 and 120 miles per hour. Outside of that, it is not happy. Below 20, it has no power and has trouble getting off the line. The clutch is not used to trying to accelerate 1,300 pounds, and it tends to get really angry when you give it a hard launch. Above 120, it gets really scary since it has the wheelbase of a shopping cart and all the safety equipment of a shopping cart. Autocross doesn't get anywhere near 120 miles per hour, but it does start at 0, which became a little bit of a problem.
It's not getting great launches, and it gets worse as I cycle through the queue. I think the oil is getting hot and the clutch is getting worse. I might have actually toasted the clutch on this thing. I got a lot of miles on it, and this is a much heavier vehicle than it was designed for.
The fan isn't set to come on until 200, which would normally be fine, but it also has less oil than normal since I modified the tall oil pan to be shorter so that I could fit it under the hood. This has never been a problem before cruising in the canyons. This car is always moving enough that the fan almost never comes on. After the first few laps, I hardwired my radiator fan directly to the battery. This helped immensely, so I'll need to add a switch to turn the fan on whenever I want it on below 200 degrees. The car was very loose, sliding the back end around, which was a lot of fun, a little too much fun sometimes. So we decided to air the tires down. Unfortunately, we didn't have an air chuck that could reach the valve stem, and I didn't bother to check the pressure before I loaded up. So we decreased the rear tire pressures from unknown PSI to unknown PSI minus 20 seconds. This helped a lot. The car got a lot more grip in the rear, so much so that it began hopping around. I'm running really stiff suspension, especially in the rear, and I'm using shocks from a motorcycle, which typically see a lot more movement, so I'm almost certainly oversprung and underdamped, so I'll need to change that. I also had a bit of gas coming out of my fuel tank vent, so add that to the list. But the car was faster, getting my times into the high 36 seconds. I hadn't been keeping track of times, but I started to get a lot of people coming over to look at my car, with a few of them saying that I had the fastest time, faster than the McLaren, faster than the Lamborghini, even faster than the Yaris. Like I said, this car is sort of made for this type of thing, and like I said in another video, the secret to speed is
basically being really, really light.
Lightweight is the key.
Low weight. Everything went well. In fact, the only problem we had was when my friend Bobby's BMW decided to turn his plastic intake into a blow-off valve. But we managed to design a fix with the combined knowledge of 2 rocket engineers and a YouTuber. It was a successful day and fun was had by all. The home-built car worked great, the factory-built car did not, which just goes to show you, if you want something done right, do it yourself.